Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the Teenage Engineering OP-1, where I try and cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Sharon wrote in and asked how to set up the OP-1 as an FX loop through the computer using USB-C. And I know I've got the MPC here, and we're going to talk about this first, what it's working, and I want to talk about why there's a few issues with trying to get the OP-1 set up and what you could potentially do about it. So it'll make sense, hopefully, in a minute. But effectively what I've got right now is these outputs here are going to my monitors. Actually, they're going to the mixer so that you can hear them in ear. And when I hit play, the audio is coming out here. The MPC actually has multiple pairs of outputs, so I've got 3 stereo pairs. So these outputs here are 3 and 4, and they're going to the OP1 for the input here. And then the output for the OP1 here is going to the input back into the MPC. So a couple things that we need to make sure we have set up. We want to make sure we've got monitoring on the OP1, and that's going to allow the signal to come out from 3 and 4 on the MPC into the OP1. And then we need to actually make sure on the MPC we've got monitoring turned on so that when we get the output from the OP1, it comes back in. So to get the monitoring on the MPC, I'm just going to double tap sampler. And we can see I've already got this turned on. Nothing's coming through at the moment because we're not sending audio to the OP1 yet. But ultimately what you need to understand is for an FX loop to work, you really only need one pair or one input, but you need to have multiple outputs so that you don't get feedback loops or other things. So on the MPC, I can just switch over here and go audio out. And now I said 3 and 4, and we don't hear it. We can see the VU meters are going, but I have to actually tap the button here. So we can hear it's going through an effect. Whoops, I got to switch to the mixer. Go to the effect. We can see we got the punch effect. I can dial in all kinds of effects here. We can go terminal, go for like a crunchier lo-fi sound here, and if I tap the button, I can make all kinds of effects. And the reason why this is, again, is all working is because we're sending the audio to the OP1. The OP1's then sending it back to the input, and then the input's sending it out. So it sounds probably more complicated than it is. Now, if I stop this for a second, the problem we're going to have is if I come over here and show you Ableton Live, and what you'd have on your computer, and why this isn't going to necessarily work directly with just the OP1 in the mix. If I go live and then go to settings, and you can see here, we have our input and output devices. Right now we have audio input device, and if we go select OP1, we got 2 in, 2 out. And if we go select OP1 again, it's still 2 in, 2 out. The problem here is that if we're using our OP1 as an audio interface so that we can use it with a computer, it can't both send output out and send output like through the FX loop. We don't have 2 pairs of stereo outputs. So this effectively means we're either going to get feedback or we can only send audio to it or out of it. So like to get this to actually work so you could hear the audio at this point, what we would really need to do is go in and say MacBook speaker, and it's not going to necessarily kind of like some of this stuff, but with that, at least we can get audio out of the OP1 and into the computer, and then from the computer we can send it out the speakers because you need to have a target where you can actually send the audio to. I haven't done this on Windows in quite some time, but like on the Mac, a piece of software that I would use is, I think it's called Loopback Audio. There's different interfaces that allow you to basically take multiple audio interfaces and stack them together and turn it into a merged audio interface. This would be something that I've used with Ableton Live in the past. It can introduce some audio delay and other things, but yeah, Rogue Amoeba has this. On Windows, it used to be a product called Soundflower that I would do that, where you just take all your audio interfaces and you just say like, you create a new one that says, stereo inputs 1 and 2 are going to my main speaker output, and then inputs 3 or output 3 and 4 goes to OP1 or whatever. You can set these things up that way. So If anybody's interested, I can try and look into that stuff again. I don't use it anymore really because I'm trying to really simplify my setup and not get into latency issues or driver issues and other things. But it certainly can be done. I've shown how to do some of these types of things on the SP404 Mark II in the past, but even like the SP404 Mark II that's here, it technically really only has a pair of inputs or one input and one output that is stereo, even though it technically shows up as having two sets of outputs, but they're merged together. So what you're really looking for and would need is a device that's probably another audio interface that's going to let you interface with it directly, that's going to have multiple outputs and at least one input that you could then set this up as an audio loop here, FX loop, using your actual audio in and out. Otherwise, if you're using USB, I personally would say just use it either as a input or output, but not both at the same time. Um, anyway, I know it's not the answer you were looking for, Sharon, but that kind of is what it is. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.